I think we're good to go here on Cardinals Underground. I'm not exactly sure. Darren is he's got out his toolkit over here. He's got the ultimate set of tools. His dad's a TV repairman, and he's fixing things on the fly. # more you can do. That's Darren.
My father's no longer with us, Paul.
Dani Sureck over there, and Paul Calvisi over here. There's the guy I wish I was, and then apparently I was that guy, according to Jonathan Gannon. The guy I wish I was is, do you see this one? A German man has won over $15 million after he discovered a forgotten lottery ticket in his coat pocket 6 months after he bought it. That was fortuitous that he looked in the coat pocket.
You don't seem like someone who would buy a lottery ticket. Seems like too much risk reward for you. Is that on par?
I do outsource it to the 18-year-old punk. If he's out and about and, there's a nice, eye-catching total in the Powerball, sure, why not?
Your son's 18 now?
He actually just turned 19.
Holy
and
cow.
The 3-year-old punk is now 19. So, moment of silence right there. That is a sobering moment. Sort of like when Jonathan Gannon referenced after the Thursday night game, I got asked on the radio by, he didn't actually fill in the blank like maybe Cam Moore did.
That, didn't he?
Yeah, I got asked this question. So, Dani, I sort of revisited that question on his TV show this week. Do you think the question was out of line? JG might have been nice on camera. Was it out of line for me to wonder about the state of the team psyche when you just lost back-to-back division games in the span of 5 days on walk-off field goals? And there are different stats on that. One stat said it's the first time it's happened to the Cardinals since 1988. Another stat said it's the first time it's happened to any team walk-off field goals in the final play 2 games in a row since 1970.
5 games apart.
5 games apart.
Or 5 days apart, I'm sorry.
Yes, so there's all these. Anyway, it's been a long time.
That's a very valid question, to have those types of losses where it's dejecting. In San Francisco, Cardinals had the lead late in the game, and then San Francisco was able to move the chains enough to make that field goal. Somewhat similar, still some differences, though, Thursday night hosting the Seahawks, in the sense that the Cardinals were the team that were making a push back late in the game. You tied the game at 20. The kickoff is just shy of the landing zone, which gives the Seahawks a pretty significant advantage in field positioning, and then they're able to have that walk-off field goal. Either way, both dejecting losses for a team that was in it until the very end. That is fair, because now this team is 2-2. Which isn't necessarily something to sound the alarms about, but when you're looking at the statistics of how this league has shaken out over many decades, teams that start 0-2 in the division have just a 10% chance of making the playoffs. It's not zero. That's not something to be up in arms about. It's more so when you're looking with the eye test of how this team has played. Offensively, they looked really good in the fourth quarter against Seattle. Not sure where that was the first 3 quarters.
Is it me, or do we... I think back to, what was it, Buffalo, Kansas City in the playoffs, where Kansas City scored with like 17 seconds on the clock, and they managed to get down the field and get a field goal. Like, I know a lot of it has to do with the length of field goals these days, but it feels like as long as there's 20 seconds on the clock, that's dangerous anymore.
Somebody needs to run the stat. Hint, hint, Craig Grialou. Somebody needs to figure out the first 4 games of the season, every single minute has counted for the Arizona Cardinals.
Yes.
Now, there was the Carolina game where maybe the last 2 plays, but it was still within the final minute, were kneel downs.
Yeah.
But, I mean, think of some of the drama, right? Even in that Carolina game, there was a completion on 4th and 16. Remember that? To number 87. Everyone's like, who the heck's 87 for Carolina? Then you had the game against the 49ers. There was a 4th and 2, sort of no risk it, no biscuit. And Mac Jones goes up top to Ricky Pearsall, right? And then that ends up resulting in a game-winning field goal. And then this time around, you had a 4th down catch by Michael Wilson. That was crazy. But there was Jackson Smith and Jigma with a big chunk catch in the final game-winning touchdown drive. So, I mean, every 240 minutes of football, and every single minute the game is hung in the balance so far in 2025.
Part of that is encouraging. The parts where the Cardinals have been out. I mean, the broadcast against Seattle Thursday night said at one point the Cardinals had as low of a 3.6% chance of coming back to win the game. They were down 20-6 at one point. So that's the positive, is this team has shown the resiliency, and they've shown their grit to come back. On the other end, in the games where they have had the lead, the teams have been able to make a push and make it a close game. And we heard when the team was 2-0 after beating the Panthers and the Saints that they didn't want their defense on the field. They wanted their offense. So there's been room for improvement from week one.
Okay, you guys are in the locker room every opportunity you can with the media. Give me your read. Start with you, Darren. Do you think there's a bit of a guilt complex right now by the offense that they're letting the defense down?
I would say generally yes. I mean, there weren't.
Because Kyler cites it repeatedly, right?
Well,
we watch the defense get stops, and
yes,
then we can't
sustain. He basically
sustain.
said that in his press conference. He's like, defense gets stop after stop after stop after stop, and then we're not holding up our end of the bargain. I'll be honest, like the way the locker room emptied pretty fast. I mean, if you were in there for Gannon, who I thought was really good after the game in terms of what he said, but it was a little longer than normal, and then Kyler literally came in right after him. If you're in there for those two things, which I was, by the time you get in the locker room, there's 5 minutes, and there's no players. So I can't give a good sense of what the locker room was like necessarily after that game. I mean, I heard some of the stuff that was said when I wasn't in there. Yeah, I think the offense is definitely feeling it a little bit, and they should, quite frankly, because of how these games have gone and how different it would have been if the offense is just scoring one more touchdown a game, just one. That said, I disagree with the people that say that the locker room's falling apart and that the defense has got to be angry at the offense. I don't get that sense. I think the defense understands, number one, that there's been a couple of missed opportunities for them too. I mean, you can't give up game-winning field goals on the last play of the game if, as a defense, you haven't already given up some yards right before that. And the reality is the defense did its job at the end of the Saints game, at the end of the Panthers game. Yes, the offense should have done a lot more in the other two games, but the defense was there to get a chance to save both those games, and they weren't able to do it.
And as Calais lamented on Monday of this week, you gave up $155 on the ground. You give up more than 150 yards rushing, and the defense doesn't feel as good about itself as maybe they might, considering they're number 6 right now in terms of being a scoring defense in the NFL. So you've been a top 5 scoring defense right there about the entirety of the season. So do they have things to clean up on the defensive side? No doubt. Have they suffered injuries? Absolutely. But they played well enough to win every single game. Now the question is, did you find something offensively in that fourth quarter that continues over into week 5? Because we know what it looked like the first 3 quarters. Kyler Murray, if we're talking about Kyler, had a couple of key quotes. One, the offense is, quote, too all over the place. And then the other quote is, bleep is loading. It's taking too long, which I brought up on the Red Sea Report, reminded me of the infamous Josh Rosen quote early in his Cardinals career, which was a quick career in the NFL period, but he used the term buffering. I'm looking at these exotic defenses and these disguises in the secondary, and I'm buffering, meaning I'm hesitating.
Yeah, but that was about himself, whereas I felt like the Kyler quote was a bigger picture.
No doubt.
Yeah.
So
he's not wrong, though.
So was it just urgency in the fourth quarter, or did they find something in the fourth? For example, how many teams have gone tempo against the Cardinals, and it's been pretty successful at times? Cardinals went tempo in that fourth quarter. Bam, all of a sudden, 2 touchdown drives.
I'll be curious to see moving forward with some of the health questions on this team, how different the offense looks, because it was the game plan going into Seattle to run 11 personnel more, where you have 3 receivers. That's not the norm for this Cardinals offense. They only had 3 tight ends out there twice, which is also not the norm. And that was the plan going into the game. And then you factor in the fact you don't have running back James Conner. And so now you're relying on Trey Benson to step up and try to get things going in a run game that even with Conner was not getting going. You need to be able to take some positives away from what you saw from your receivers in 11 personnel, more so than you have during the season. What's frustrating is that they only seem to get things going in the fourth quarter. That's where Marvin Harrison Jr. was unlocked. Harrison had 4 catches on 4 targets for 42 yards and a touchdown. Not just Harrison, but what about the rest of the receivers for the first 3 quarters? That's where the sense of urgency came from, was, holy smokes, we have to absolutely get something going if we want to have any chance at winning this game. That's what you need to carry over. The passing game is going to have to take you're going to have to take a closer look at the passing game as a run-first offense when the run game is not getting going.
Here is my hesitation. Not my hesitation, but like I know the Gannon has said a couple times the margins are this is where we're talking about in the margins, or whatever coaches might have said this. And there are two examples, it could be three, really. Three examples of this is why I think it's a lot more nuanced than everybody wants to say. They want to say get rid of certain coaches. They want to say change the offense. They want to say change the play calling. They want to say feed this guy or that guy. Why did they come back? Okay, they had to make plays, right? So Marvin Harrison, high points, a touchdown catch. Fantastic catch.
Against Devin Witherspoon, by the way.
What we've been waiting to see.
He mossed him.
He did moss him. If Devin Witherspoon breaks that pass up, I'm not blaming Kyler. I'm not blaming Marvin. That's a good play by the defense. But he didn't. And all of a sudden you have 7 points when maybe you wouldn't have. Final drive. Michael Wilson makes an incredible one-handed catch on 4th down that if it doesn't happen, that game's over. And that is not a catch you can replicate. If that falls incomplete, we're having a whole different discussion, but he makes that play. And then later in that drive, Marvin Harrison, I think it was this drive, makes the back shoulder on the falling on his ass on the sideline to set up the touchdown catch. A play that they have not hooked up on a lot, but he made that play. So there's 3 catches that we're sitting back big picture and saying, well, maybe they should just throw the ball more. See what happens when they have tempo? Well, see what happens when they all make amazing plays too. Like, I guess I get a little frustrated. I get where people are saying maybe you should do some of this or maybe you need to. And I'm not saying you don't look at that stuff. But the margins, any one of those plays doesn't happen, the Seahawks are kneeling that game out, and we're talking about an offense that didn't do anything again.
My point on the passing is not so much look how good the passing game was just in the fourth quarter. It's more so looking at the run game that is not nearly as efficient as they were last year, which, okay, that's last year.
Right.
This is almost an identical lineup with personnel. Even when you had James Conner, that's where I'm saying, okay, you have this time, you're a quarter of the way through the season. If the run game is not going, is that something as quote-unquote simple as the blocking schemes, as the communication, something going on in the line of scrimmage, or is it more where you need to change your philosophy to a certain, shouldn't say change, tweak your philosophy where you're not so heavy on the run first, you are looking at your receivers more?
But I guess my point, I'm not disagreeing with you, and maybe I'm speaking more off of you to what people I've heard from the fandom, which is you can do all that, and then when they run 6 seconds off the clock with 3 incomplete passes on 1st, 2nd, and 3rd down, everybody is going to blow their mind because it's like, why can't we do anything? And obviously I'm exaggerating, but I just think that what people want to see is successful offense. You can throw out there what that is, but if it's not successful, everybody's going to be a hater. And if it is successful, everybody's going to say, see, this is all you needed to do. And I don't think it's that simple.
I think there are 2 categories. I know you don't want it to be simple. I'm going to try and keep it simple. 2 categories.
Of course you are, Paul.
There's correctable and there's concerning. Correctable would be drop passes. Very correctable. Miscommunications, correctable, although it persists. I get it. There's a lot of exotic defenses. Mike McDonald's a master at disguising coverages. He's trying to generate these forced errors between the quarterback and the receiver, and they're very good at it. Are you reading this coverage the same way? But then there's concerning. That's maybe not as easily correctable, like when Kyler says we got physically dominated in the first half. What is the state of the offensive line? Especially maybe the right side of the offensive line. Are they assignment sound, which Jonathan Gannon has, which is correctable? So you got to dive a little deeper into the offensive line. Because can you be a run-first offense if the offensive line isn't quite playing to the level it has the last couple of years? And, oh, by the way, you don't have the identity of the run game, James Conner, for the rest of the year. So maybe that is legitimately concerning, and that's what results or sparks change in the offense, not only the philosophy, but even what chapter of the playbook you're going to use. To Danny's point, 54 of the 67 snaps against the Seahawks were in 11 personnel.
Which, again, when the coaches talk about matchups matter, Gannon was very clear in saying this matchup said we were going to have a tough time running the ball, so we came into it thinking we're going to pass.
Don't want to play these guys in a phone booth.
That's what we're doing. It's interesting you bring up the communication. Jonathan Gannon talked about it, and we've seen some of the results and talked to some people too, Paul. It's like there's clearly times when the offensive line is not communicating correctly, and they're putting two bodies on one and forgetting about a third. Okay, that is correctable. You are right. If it happens once, but like I feel if this has happened over 4 games, where do you fall in the correctable? I mean, that should be correctable after one viewing of like, how do we do this? Right. But it's not. So it's like this is.
And that's where it goes from correctable to concerning. That's why I'm saying there's like 2 categories right now. Look, any great team in any sport, really good teams, they have different heroes at different times, right? Different players making different. But a hallmark of a losing team, any sport, is that different players are taking their one chance to make their one mistake. And too often that has been the case with the Cardinals. Now they're still 2-2. They were right in the 2 games they lost weren't like they were blowouts. So you like to think it's correctable. But if you're getting into week 5, especially against a Tennessee team, and this persists, then all of a sudden, okay, it gets into the other category. I can tell Darren's itching for a little competition, or is he not? Oh, no. You know what? We're gonna save Wise Guy. All right, we're going to pitch it over to Dani here for Getting Cultured. Why do I always screw up the order in what we're going to do here within Cardinals Underground?
It's interesting because really we keep the same order every week.
It is amazing.
Just hand it to me either way, Paul.
Okay.
I'll take it from there.
Dani, we'll segue to you.
Getting Cultured with Dani. It is not just directed at Paul.
Am I the default uncultured Philistine around here?
Yes.
You got me very excited now.
I am on social media and consume more pop culture than both of you combined.
I think I'm being unfairly profiled, but go ahead.
Let's go. Super Bowl halftime performer has officially been announced. Bad Bunny. Paul, you a big Bad Bunny fan? The Puerto Rican, he just wrapped up his Puerto Rico residency and had a large number of nominees in the Latin Grammys. He's really popular.
Very popular. I have heard of him. That's how popular he is. It's always a sign of popularity. Not on my Spotify list, though, Dani, no.
Okay. I'll be excited, though.
It'll be cool.
And
I'm a big fan of his acting, to be honest. There's a movie coming out where he plays a big role, and I forget the name of the movie, but it looks good, and he plays a part in it. And then he's been in a lot of Saturday Night Live stuff, which has been hilarious.
Yes. Sad news. Keith Urban and Nicole Kidman are separating. Nicole,
what?
as made famous
I did not see this in the family chat.
As made famous by the AMC Theater PSAs, we make movies better.
That's what she's famous for?
No, that was a joke. That went over your head. They were married for 19 years. They've got 2 kids. That's pretty sad. You don't seem affected by it, Paul.
No, so it's been 2 decades since she broke up with Tom Cruise? Really?
At least.
Okay, didn't realize that. By the way, if she's adding to the length we have to endure before a movie, because there's already 9 movie previews at play, and now if she's also in a PSA and then they throw in a beverage commercial
it's
or
like
3.
30 minutes now, for real.
I mean, the best thing about assigned seats, and my 19-year-old punk does this, is they show up 30 minutes late to a movie because they really don't care about the previews. You have an assigned seat. That is the best part about movie going here these days.
I feel bad for my namesake, Keith Urban.
Similar realm of love and marriage, though, is Selena Gomez. She got married to Benny Blanco, the producer, over the weekend.
I don't know who Benny Blanco is.
He's a music producer.
Well, obviously, but that doesn't help me. He's the one person you've mentioned today that I don't know.
Okay. Well, we are ending on some good news. I don't know if you guys saw this. Huntington's disease treatment breakthrough. This is really good. Huntington's disease is an inherited condition in which nerve cells in the brain break down over time. It's described as one of the most devastating diseases. However, recent data from treatment has shown that they can slow down the disease by 75%, which is incredible for those that have been diagnosed with that. And I wanted to give a shout out to that.
Wow.
So way to go, science.
Okay.
Way to go, science.
You guys
Winning
have been
behavior.
cultured. You're welcome.
Okay. Yeah, all right. And on a positive right there. I like that. Okay.
A little bit different than what I normally cover,
Yeah,
but
no doubt.
good
All right.
nonetheless.
That's actually something people should be cultured about.
That could have gone in winning behavior as well. So there you go. But see, I didn't intro winning behavior. I actually try to intro a wise guy, so keep up with my mental errors here as we continue with Cardinals
No
Underground.
MEs, Paul. No MEs.
Okay. Here's my segue from ME to MHJ.
Oh.
Roller coaster, it says here. Hard to disagree with that. Comments. Now, JG did say that he thought Marvin Harrison Jr. played faster against the Seahawks. Okay. What I had to say about this goes something like this. It can't get any worse than what happened against the 49ers with the drop. And then in prime time, a national TV audience, the ball glances off your hands into the defender's hands literally, it can't get any worse. So at that point, if Marv is in his own head, well, you got nothing to lose. Just go ball. Just no trepidation about things going wrong. They've already gone awry in an XL way. Just go out and play ball.
The positive is you saw the true resiliency and the grit, the mental fortitude it took for Harrison to get through that game. First 3 quarters, not good. Not just Harrison, the offense as a whole. Not just the bobble that was intercepted, the other interception, which Murray started to scramble up through the pocket. And so when Harrison saw that, he turned to break on his route to try and scramble and find space. And the unfortunate timing is Murray threw the ball, and it looked as though Harrison just stopped his route until you were able to go back, watch the film, talk to some of the coaches. It's a tough game, and he's in year 2, and whether fans like it or not, whether you're impatient or not, it is a process for receivers to really blossom in the league. You look at players like Larry Fitzgerald, who was not a star his rookie year, right? Look at Harrison's father, Marvin Harrison Jr., was not a star his rookie year, went on to have a Hall of Fame career. You still need the 4th overall pick and your number 1 receiver to show up in big-time moments. I'm not doubting that. The drop passes, the bobble, you cannot have that. To see the mental fortitude, though, to come back in the 4th quarter and catch all of your targets, have that incredible touchdown, and you could see it was the weight being lifted off Harrison's shoulders. We've never seen him celebrate a touchdown that way, where he's on one leg, he's kneeling, and he's got his head down. Looks like he's just taking a big sigh, like letting out that relief of, okay, I stuck with it. I found the end zone. That's a tough game. And you do have to give props for mentally what he was able to push through. And you can acknowledge that while also saying you need to be better and more consistent for all 4 quarters.
You know what's amazing is the last 3 weeks, 3 former Cardinals players who also appear in our broadcasts have said the same thing individually about Marvin Harrison Jr. Ron Wolfley, Rob Fredrickson, Lorenzo Alexander earlier today.
Who's this Ron Wolfley you speak of?
Be more demanding. You don't have to be a diva as a receiver. You don't have to be that kind of receiver, but be more demanding. And what did Drew Terrell say at the end of last year? That he tried to implore in the rookie Marvin Harrison Jr., go out there, feel yourself, or as DJ Humphries used to say, smell yourself out there. I'm Marvin bleeping Harrison Jr. Go ahead and exert yourself in that sort of manner. Carry yourself with that sort of pedigree, because you do have that sort of talent. You do have that sort of potential. You are the number 4 pick overall. Don't defer to anyone. Again,
and I brought this up last week when you're talking about different personalities, though, or 2 weeks ago, whenever it was. It's funny. I was just, as Dani was talking about how he doesn't often celebrate. The first thing I thought after that touchdown, he doesn't often celebrate like that because he doesn't often fall in that big of a mental hole as he was at that point. The other thing too is I was kind of like making myself kind of smile in my head because I'm like, could you imagine if Marvin Harrison Jr. had made that catch and then run up to the camera and basically done a Denzel King Kong ain't got nothing on me kind of like reaction to it, announcing his presence with authority. That's not him, though, and that's the thing. That's the one thing that I remember when Drew Terrell said it last year was, you want him to be that way. I just don't know if that who Marvin Harrison is as a person. I think he's got confidence, and I think it will build on this. But I don't know if he's ever the guy that's going to walk around saying, I'm the MFer around here, get out of my way. In all honesty, as polite as Larry Fitzgerald would be, and he might have said thank you afterwards, but even Larry was a guy who would be like, I'm an MFer, thank you for listening, but he might have said that. I don't know if that's Marvin's thing.
And you know what? That's fine. If he's not that way, in terms of his personality, especially off the field with the media, that sort of thing. I get it. Even on the sideline, I get it. But when the ball's in the air, Larry Fitzgerald was a killer.
Yeah.
When the ball was in the air, he saw dollar signs. He saw
That's what it was.
He saw W's. He saw endorsements.
Yes.
He saw everything. His future was
Yes.
predicated on snagging that football out of the air, and he would fight you to the death for it, as we saw.
I agree, and hopefully the play in the end zone over Witherspoon is kind of what we're going to see. And all you can ask of a player, even on this level, is you make the mistake once, you learn from it, and then you don't make it again. And where were we a couple weeks ago after the Carolina game? How come you didn't go up and high point the end zone ball? That was almost the exact same play. And this time he made it work.
You guys remember the key to this season that I threw out right before the season opener? My key.
Literally the key you had?
Yeah, the key I had. And you know what? I'm glad you brought that up, Darren, because let's see if
I'm here for you, Paul.
Have it on. I said,
Just call me the straight guy.
I sort of cheated because it was sort of a big picture key that really involved about a dozen players.
What do you got in your pockets
here we
there,
go.
Paul?
I got the key right here. All right.
Okay.
The key to the season was the 2024 draft class
Oh, that's true. You did say that.
and their development. So if you're Marvin Harrison Jr. and you've been asking yourself, am I legitimate wide receiver one? Can I truly excel at this level? Well, you just did it. You just made a highly contested catch in the end zone over one of the top 3 corners in the game. There was some next-gen stat. There was 0.3 yards of separation, which was like the second most contested catch all year. I have no idea how they measure these things. I have no clue, but it's interesting to read. And if he wants to put it up in his locker,
Paul. It's just a tape measure.
if he wants to put it up in his locker, so when he looks in the little mirror in the locker, he knows, yes, I belong here. What was the phrase Isaiah Adams used with the media before the season started, or maybe it was during camp? He said, there was a point in which my rookie year where there was imposter syndrome. You're asking yourself, are you truly an NFL caliber player? When he's making his second start last year, and there's big cat Leonard Williams dominating the game in the trenches against Seattle. So all these guys have to prove it to themselves. To me, that play in the end zone, I think there's already enough evidence Marv can play, but maybe that's the convincing moment so far in his young career that ends up being sort of a turning the corner, a pivot point of sorts.
I like that this offense targeted him. 10 targets. That's what you need. You need to continue to feed the ball through Harrison. That's what the coaches have said. They know that they are a better offense when they feed the ball through their number one receiver. Getting those reps is how he's going to get better. The chemistry is going to get better. The confidence is going to grow. All of those things. You just need that more throughout an entire game. What I don't appreciate online, because we haven't had a podcast since Thursday's game, what I don't appreciate online is when everybody is clamoring on top of this player and immediately calling him a bust when he has played 1 season and 4 games. And was it a good game for him overall? No. He'll tell you the same thing. But if you are going to believe that from having almost 1,000-yard rookie season last year and breaking rookie records for this franchise, and if you have the eye test of seeing how Harrison can play, if after a season and 4 games you're ready to call him a bust and there's nothing that we can say to change somebody's mind, just know that you're wrong, right? You can say that he has room for improvement and that maybe you're impatient for the process or you want them to target him more, but to say that Harrison is a bust, I don't appreciate that online. I don't know if anyone cares about my opinion, but
I agree.
That take I did not agree with after Thursday's game.
I appreciate your opinion, Dani.
Thank you. And again, I mean, I was even seeing people on Twitter who were saying that during the game, and then Harrison has his 4th quarter, and I saw someone online, oh, no, like I take it back.
Too late.
Doesn't work that
It's out
way.
there.
It's too extreme of a bust is a 4-letter word.
Everything is extreme online.
But you can't apply the term bust. It's a 4-letter word. It has to be reserved for the most extreme cases. Andy Isabella's high second-round pick, bust. Did he ever have a 4th quarter like Marvin Harrison Jr. just did? No. So you got to reserve the word bust.
Where's my bingo card for Andy when you need it?
For the most extreme cases.
So here's a good thought exercise. At what point where does a guy have to be drafted to be a bust?
Well, okay, here's the rub on that. Look at everyone drafted after Marvin Harrison Jr.
Okay.
Rome Odunze is blossoming in year 2. He
Okay.
has 5 touchdown catches already. We know what Ladd McConkey did. We know what Malik Neighbors did. We know what Brian Thomas Jr. did. So there are a number of receivers after Marvin, and I think that's part of the pressure he's feeling.
No. I get that. I was doing a general thing. This wasn't even about Marvin. Like you just said, Andy Isabella is a high second-round pick. Like, to me, you can't be a third-round pick and be a bust.
Agreed.
Well, can I bring up Buster Davis, as we were talking about him about 20 years ago? He was a
Okay,
third-round
that's a good
linebacker, and he didn't make it
Wasn't
out of
there
camp.
another? There was a
So,
fourth-round offensive lineman that got cut out of a draft pick that got cut out of camp once too. And I'm trying to remember. He went to Pitt, I think. Okay, those are fair. If you're a draft pick and you're getting even
you
then
don't make it out of camp.
a seventh-round pick not making it out of camp is
No,
not that big of a deal.
absolutely not. So,
Marvin Harrison Jr. is not a freaking bust, and everybody can just shut up about that.
okay. So let's see if I can shut Darren up in Wise Guy, as long as we're talking about the power of recollection. Let's see.
He's on fire with the segues.
It's time for The Wise Guy, the world's fastest growing Cardinals quiz show. The stakes are low, the winner gets absolutely nothing. Here's your hostess with the mostest, Dani Sureck.
Welcome into my favorite time of the week, Wise Guy Trivia. Darren, you are the reigning champ. I am excited for this. We don't play the Tennessee Titans very often, so we don't have a lot of Tennessee trivia questions.
We'll have to save them up for 4 years from now. Let's go with number 4, Danny.
Oh, that's a bad move. That's a bad move, right? Darren's out of the gates at a deficit. Here we go. Never start with 4.
Okay.
Question 4.
Keep that in mind.
In 1964, country music legend Dolly Parton moved to Nashville just after finishing high school. Darren is rolling not just his eyes, his whole head at the start of this. In 1986, Parton became owner of an amusement park in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee that is still in operation today. What park is it?
Is it Dollywood?
It sure is.
Well, I take back. 4 usually lives up to its reputation as being the most difficult. Obviously not this week. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, go ahead.
You knew that answer, Paul?
I did, yes. So further reinforcing how easy it was.
Paul
Okay,
is
Dani,
a
here we
big
go.
Dolly Parton fan.
Here we go. I mean, I was actually enjoying that till the very end because I'm like, Darren cannot have a catalog of information about Dolly Parton. But okay, here we go. Key to victory, resilience. I have resilience, so do the Cardinals. Let's see what I can do here.
Are
Number
you
3,
going to give me
Buda
a
Baker.
question?
Buda Baker. Let's go.
In 2010, the Cardinals and Titans held a joint practice at the Titans training facility.
Oh, I was there.
On that same trip, the Cardinals held a practice on their own at this Nashville-based university.
Okay, that was the infamous ESPN just left and the Cardinals made a quarterback change. Derek Anderson was installed as the starter and Matt Leinart was at ESPN, showed up, shot a stand-up and left, and they missed the actual news. Vanderbilt University.
Correctamundo.
Quite the road trip, Paul.
Yes, that
Quite
was
the
a
road
that
trip.
was a road trip. Not long after that, Matt Leinart did an unsanctioned press conference
Yes.
at the hotel. All right, Dani, here we go.
Let's go number 2. Let's just keep moving up the chain.
The 1999 AFC wildcard game between the Bills and Titans ended in dramatic fashion. The Titans won 22-16 on a play famously known as the Music City Miracle. Kevin Dyson scored the game-winning touchdown by running 75 yards after catching a lateral from a fellow Titans player. Name him.
What's hilarious is at every step you went, I'm like, okay, I know this. Oh, then you named the next thing I thought was going to be the answer. But I'm still going to go with Frank Wycheck.
And that would
Dang
be
it.
correct.
Dang it, I knew that one. I knew it.
Paul, if you get this, it's a tie
Okay.
game.
Okay.
No
All right.
pressure. Just a lot of pressure.
Here we go. Here we
Question
go.
number 1.
See if the light will go off in my head.
This former kicker. Oh, you love special teams. Here we go.
It's true.
This former kicker played for the Cardinals when the team made its Arizona debut in 1988.
Come on.
He went on to play 10 years for the Houston Oilers / Tennessee Titans organization.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Grammatica.
Incorrect.
Al Del Greco.
Oh,
Darren with
man.
the seal
Come on.
and the win.
He did not score on the faked field goal.
There's a pattern here. See, Darren is a native, and I didn't get here till 95. So anything from 88 to 95, I'm at a serious deficit.
I was actually supposed to go to the Cardinals' first ever regular season game here in Arizona against the Cowboys when Al Del Greco did the fake field goal right before halftime and had no chance because it was like 40 yards away. I chose not to because I had just gone to class that day and didn't want to drive all the way back out to the stadium.
Do the two of you want to do the tiebreaker just for fun, since
I know
we
you
don't
want
play
to do
Tennessee
that.
often?
Notice how I went with Grammatica because I couldn't remember if it was Bill or Martine. But anyway, go ahead.
Okay, this won't count, but we'll just do it for fun, just to see how you guys hold up.
Funsies!
What is the driving distance in miles from Nissan Stadium in Nashville to State Farm Stadium?
Frick, Omo.
I would have no idea what range to do this if I were the one guessing.
I got
so
it.
no judgment.
No, I haven't.
Once Darren writes his answer, you can share yours, Paul. Okay, Darren has shown me his.
Okay. 1,947.
I did 2,391.
The answer is 1,652.
Oh!
Doesn't count, though.
How
So
about
Darren
that?
gets the win.
How about that? Okay.
Darren wins absolutely nothing.
All right. Yep. Does Darren need to adapt during the mini-buy? Did Darren make any adjustments, tweaks, major or minor? Did he do any self-scouting? Is there anything you vow to do better the rest of this season, Darren Urban?
I will say nothing during the mini buy, but
Okay.
I will say that after the announcement that the Cardinals are going to have a brand new facility way up north, I have had initial discussions with my wife of would we move.
You got 3
Wait a
years to
minute.
decide.
The news is like 3 hours old, and you're
I know.
already
Well,
discussing
I
if
had just
you're
told
gonna...
her that, and I'm like, well, I guess I'm going to have a drive now, which I've never had because I literally live within 2 minutes of the facility. And she's like, well, we could always move to this area because we've talked about it before, and it would get me closer.
Yeah, but Darren, you're an early retirement guy. Come on, you're a saver, not a spender.
Yeah,
you have that
these things are all
portfolio
true,
of rental properties.
But my
you
wife
know.
is about to retire from teaching, and only one of us is going to have medical insurance. And quite frankly, in this climate, somebody better have medical insurance.
Okay, all right.
But anyways, I know that you
Facility
weren't
is
talking
exciting.
about that.
No, but that is it was big news. There's no doubt about it, and it's going to be a big facility. I mean,
It
my
sure
goodness,
is. Up in
it's-
Paradise Ridge, you're going to
Yeah.
have room for 3 outdoor practice fields plus a field house. You're going to have a whole bunch of things up there in that area right off the 101. So it's exciting. And we haven't seen a lot of the renders, but from what we have seen, one of which is included in Darren's article on easycardinals.com, it looks modern. It looks sleek. It's going to be very nice.
It's almost surreal. I'll be honest with you. I'm not sure if it's hit home yet that there's going to be a
Oh, we have lots of
state-of-the-art-
time before you.
Yeah, I mean, and we there's 2-3 years at least, right? I don't know.
2028.
2028. So okay. But
Well, because we've been so used to being here. They've been in this Tempe facility since 1989, and it's obviously it's time, and it's something that Michael Bidwell has been thinking about doing for a long time, and it finally all came together. But in the now and the adaptation over the mini buy, which is obviously going to be still done here in Tempe, like it was interesting because I had asked Nick Rollis, and this is generally we hear about changes happening on the buy or the mini buy and tweaks that they want to do. And the reality is the vast majority of anything players and coaches are going to do aren't going to be seen by the naked eye most of the time. And I know fans are out there waiting for drastic changes and big things and big announcements. And it doesn't happen. It's the same reason why you don't usually change coaches in midstream. We've been through this before, like where you get rid of a head coach or a coordinator in season, and it's not going to change that much. And so you try and work in the context of what you already have. And I think it goes back to what Dani was saying earlier about how they might do this or that offensively. But you got to get some things right of what you're already trying to do, because quite frankly, that's what you've been doing since January, is building a roster and a playbook to what you were already trying to do. And the reality is that this offense that they're doing, we're not just talking about since January. This is essentially what they've been doing since they showed up in 2023. So if you're talking about making drastic changes, you're talking about turning a massive, cruise ship in midstream. I just think it's tough.
But once again, if you've been a run-first offense and you're missing James Conner, if you've been a run-first offense and defensive lines have adjusted defensive fronts and they're taking away your, quote, bread and butter, which guys have talked about, if you're a run-first offense and all of a sudden you're not generating enough on first down, and it's always second and long, second and obvious pass. Right there, that restricts your playbook. So is it a want or a need? And to me, it's a need right now. And then minus sort of the heartbeat of your offense and James Conner. You guys know how adamant I've been on this, and I've doubled down on this more than ever. Give me more Trey McBride. You've seen offenses over the years, whether it was Mahomes and Kelsey, whether it was Lamar Jackson and Mark Andrews when they had 0 receivers, but they'd go to AFC championship games. Yeah, I would love to see Kyler and Trey McBride, by far the best chemistry on the field. Just give me more of that.
One of, if not the most reliable receiver. Good news is for the Cardinals is if you're wanting to get the passing game going a little bit more, maybe don't be so run first, maybe a little more balanced. They have the weapons. You have one of the best tight ends in the league in Trey McBride. You have Marvin Harrison Jr. out wide, Michael Wilson out wide, Zay Jones, who have shown that they can make some really nice plays. So the Cardinals have what they need to get the passing game going. You can't completely abandon the run. That's the bread and butter for a reason. And the reason the passing game hasn't really been going to a certain extent is because the run game hasn't been going. And once you're able to keep a team honest and they have to defend against the run, that's going to allow this passing offense to really take advantage of what a defense is showing them. If a defense doesn't have to defend a run at all, okay, they'll just keep 2 high safeties and they'll prevent you from moving the ball down the field in the air. That's not tough. So I do not want this team to abandon the run and the identity. You have to find a way to make it work. The reality is, as good as Connor is, this run game, and that's not on him, was not going the way that it needed to when he was here. So what can you get from Trey Benson? What can you get from a Michael Carter who was signed to the active roster, or Amari DiMercado? At the time of recording this on Tuesday, we don't really know what any sort of updates are. All we know was the bonus practice Monday. Benson was not out there. We don't have an injury report, so we're not sure what's going on there. So what do you have in the rest of that room? And Carter has done some nice things when his number has been called upon the last year plus of being in this organization.
If Grialou once again, or maybe Zach Gershman, would get off their keister and run these numbers, I'd like to know what sort of success Trey McBride has had through 4 games this year catching second and third level balls. Is it me, or does that seem to be missing versus last season?
It feels like it's missing.
Well, in general, it's all short passes. That's not just McBride.
But I would also wonder if the reason he was making more second level catches was because defenses were cheating up because the run game was going so well. So again, chicken or the egg. But if he does get more catches, just don't say Trey McPlay.
Okay. Okay, can I take an issue with that? Okay, now you finally are going to get the best out of me right here.
Hello.
Dani, did you not do an interview, Sideline Exchange, last week before with Elijah Higgins?
I did.
And did he not call Trey McBride Trey McPlay? He did.
Did he?
He said...
Dani doesn't remember, does she?
He literally said, in the room, we call him Trey McPlay. Because you asked about the dynamics in the tight end room.
I did.
And I stood up and I went, aha! Really? So who's the person who came out with the edict that
he wants big play Trey?
Shall not call him Trey McPlay?
But see, here's the problem with that. He said in the room. And the problem with in the room is we all know, because we all have good friends that call us stuff that pisses us off as a nickname, because that's what friends do, is call you something that you don't want to be called.
Yeah, Paul, just think about what we called Darren.
When he's not around?
Yeah.
That's a good point. Yeah, I like the lamp on that one. That's a good one. Okay.
I walked right into that.
The I-team has been launched on that one. I'm just going to tell you the Calvisi Consulting I-team is going to get to the bottom of that
right,
here
here's
soon.
What I want,
yeah,
Paul.
the I-team's been focused on me.
Have Dani clip that, and you need to put that on your Twitter feed.
Okay. I actually forget where I was going next because you guys got me all triggered about the Trey McPlay. So why don't we go ahead and how about some winning behavior? How about it?
I see you. Let's go.
Can you display winning behavior? You have to consistently display winning behavior.
That's winning behavior.
You got to define what winning behavior is and hold people to that standard.
Yes.
All right, I'm going to take the first one because I think Dani will be enlightened to hear that Tyreek Stevenson has actually been replaced on the power pole of incompetence / ineptitude by Adonai Mitchell.
Oh, yeah.
turning a touchdown into a touchback. Nobody's better at this than the Colts. Jonathan Taylor did at the end of last season.
This is true.
And now A.D. Mitchell, as he drops the ball somewhere between the 1 yard line and the goal line, and thou shalt not get a touchdown. Instead, it's a touchback.
You can't celebrate until you are fully in the end zone. You can't. That's what happens.
That's a killer for the Cardinals because the Rams lose that game.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right.
I just noticed also that as I put this stuff together, most of the time this is non-winning behavior. No offense, Jonathan Gannon.
Hey, but congrats to Tyreek Stevenson.
Yeah, that is winning behavior for Tyreek Stevenson.
Yep, he's on the he's on the upswing. He's on the comeback. Took him a while, but there we go. Let's see, other non-winning behavior. You say that, Darren, and you got to think of the fans at the Ryder Cup, right? I mean, out on Long Island, all the jabronis out on Long Island. And that was wow.
It's disappointing. It's stupid.
How about Rory McIlroy in a true Happy Gilmore moment, backing off his shot and screaming, "Would you guys shut the bleep up?"
I love it. That's how it should be because these guys were a bunch of idiots. There was way too many idiots for way too much. It's so irritating.
As Rory said, and actually I give Rory a lot of credit. I mean, he spoke to it at length and just said, why not cheer on your own players? Why do you have to make derogatory comments about the other guys?
Not wrong.
Anyway, he has some notion that golf is a gentleman's game and all that sort of thing. And
Ryder Cup has had certain.
Sure.
It's a little bit different than most golf tournaments, but when it gets that ugly all the time, and we've seen it, quite frankly, from a lot of crowds, way too much recently, but that's kind of where our culture is right now. Everybody thinks it's cool to just be able to. Never mind.
All right, Darren. So as an ASU guy, you're going to handle the Will I Am?
First of all, I thought that was really cool. Will I Am joining the ASU faculty, and then I saw that he's teaching an AI class, and then all of a sudden I thought that's not winning behavior.
Why is he the one teaching AI?
He has some kind of company that works with AI. And so he's going to teach a class in it, and you will have people there live. But I think it's in California, so you can zoom in or you could be there live.
It's a member of Outkast and Black Eyed Peas for anybody unaware.
Oh yes, Will I Am. It could have been in Getting Cultured for all we knew, but yes, I thought that was really cool because I like Will I Am's stuff. But no AI, get the F out of here, AI.
And Dani, what do we have here? Did you throw the one in about the squirrel?
No, that was me.
Okay.
Surprisingly, no.
I didn't want Zach Gershman to feel left out. So this is for you, Zach Gershman. Residents of the Bay Area, which it's always the Bay Area. Like, I got to talk to Paul. What the hell is wrong with you?
Let's distinguish and differentiate. This is Marin County. Marin County is unlike the rest of the Bay Area. Tony, swanky.
Okay.
I mean, no wonder like a squirrel is big news in Marin.
Joan Hellback told a local affiliate she was walking in the neighborhood when a squirrel seemingly came out of nowhere and attacked her leg, clawing and biting. And Isabella Campoy said she was also attacked while walking in the same area. The squirrel launched itself from the ground to her face and wound up on her arm, leaving it bloody, she said. But the reason I saw this is because when I called it up, there was a photo of the flyer that has been posted.
No.
And there's a picture of this squirrel looking like it's jumping at the camera. And it says, it's warning residents, the squirrel is no joke. And 5 people have been attacked by, quote, a very mean squirrel, unquote. And let me just tell you, if Zach Gershman isn't off crying in a corner after he hears this story, I think we will accomplish that he has come a long way in a short period of time.
It's like that episode of Parks and Rec where they're trying to catch a possum. How do you know it's the same squirrel? They had this debate. How do they know they caught the right possum? How do you know it's the same squirrel?
I don't know. A serial squirrel attacker.
Okay. All right. Well, look, out in Belvedere and Tiburon and Sausalito, they can afford a squirrel hunter. So just go ahead and hire someone to hunt down the squirrel.
Now, I will say this, not winning behavior if you're attacked by the squirrel. But for all I know, the squirrel is exhibiting winning behavior. He's taking over this very rich neighborhood. Who knows? I mean, if I recall correctly, the new version of the Planet of the Apes was set in the Bay Area. So maybe instead of apes, it's going to be squirrels. right?
Yeah, that's something I can't segue off of. I'm sorry. I met my match.
Come
here
on, I believe in
this
you.
Late stages of Cardinals Underground on this one. That's,
At least San Francisco lost to the Jacksonville Jaguars.
yeah, so there.
Hey,
Niners. Oh boy! I mean, all the injuries. Brock Purdy
Now they
didn't
got to
look
play
good.
a short week, go to the Rams.
I mean, hello. By the way, the return of Bilal Nichols, is that something we can count on anytime soon? Any idea? Any clue?
well, I mean, it's a 3-week window to come back on the active roster. It depends on what your definition of soon is, but I don't think they put him back on the practice field unless they feel like at some point he's going to be able to be activated, and it's got to be within the next 3 weeks. So fingers crossed, because with all the guys, there's still guys getting banged up. You still have Justin Jones, who's not playing. We still don't know about Walter Nolan. So if you can get back a defensive lineman like Bilal Nichols, who hasn't played since week 6 of last year, that would be good.
He's been out for almost a year with a neck injury. He was dealing with some stingers. He only played in 6 games last year. And unfortunately, when the Cardinals originally signed Nichols as a free agent, part of the attraction was the fact that he had been incredibly reliable and he hadn't been hurt throughout his career.
You're right.
So if the Cardinals can get some reinforcements on the defensive line, especially because at that bonus practice Monday, didn't see defensive lineman Darius Robinson out there, who left Thursday's game with a chest injury.
After he had a great game, he showed up all over the box score.
Nichols doesn't necessarily have to play on Sunday. He has 3 weeks for the team to decide whether or not to sign him, to activate him to that roster, or he would have to be sidelined for the rest of the year. The fact that he's at practice Monday, though, get things going, that's a very good sign, and they could use some help in that room.
I'm authorizing the two of you, by the way, when the practice window is open for Walter Nolan III, to feel free to remind me to go, Paulie, pump your brakes, okay? Because he has yet to take a snap in the NFL in pads.
He hasn't practiced in pads since he was in college.
So it's going to be, I don't care how talented he is. And Calais talked him up again this week. I mean, Calais doubled down in his confidence.
What a jerk.
Walter Nolan III is going to be a dude. Just how soon? And so, some of us are more inclined to others to maybe getting over our skis a little bit and, waiting for instant results in week 1. And so please remind me not to be that guy.
Is that where Jonathan Gannon says, hey, the radio guy was getting over his skis on...
Quick sidebar is I actually would have had a segue for you, Paul, from the squirrel back to football,
okay.
because in the rundown, one of the bullet points says landing zone and the kickoff rules bite. So I would have said, hey, squirrels aren't the only things that bite these days.
Wow. That's an opinionated statement right there. Like kickoff rules bite, like they stink, or they came up and bit you because you didn't put it in the landing zone. I get it.
Speaking of biting, I bit the dust in my picks this week. I was only 8-6. You two were both 10-4, so you're picking up ground.
You can't make a comment about how well I did this week, Paul, because you had the same record.
Wait a minute.
And
we
did negate the Packers-Cowboys game because it was a tie.
I do need to go full disclosure right here.
Oh, no.
Okay, put the bright white light in my face.
Did you use AI?
ChatGPT might have made my picks this week.
Eliminated. You're disqualified for the year.
I had to fly out of town Friday morning in a lurch. I did not submit my picks. I notified Cody at the last minute, please just let ChatGPT step in for yours truly. So I will come clean. I think you should be
disqualified, to be quite honest.
Believe me, by the end of the year, I'll be in 3rd place. So
you were trying to launch an investigation onto me for cheating?
Wow.
I'm just saying
this might be a good time to wrap up here. It's getting a little tough here. Okay, so on that note, before there's any more, we don't want to sound like the Tennessee Titans around here, with Cam Ward going to the podium and saying stuff we can't repeat. Or,
they got T-shirts, Paul.
Or they do?
Yes.
No, they made it into T-shirts?
Well, the team didn't, but somebody did.
We bleep?
We bleep.
Oh, boy. By the way, he wasn't the only one. And I'm going to say this is the most dangerous aspect of playing the Tennessee Titans in Week 5. If they are angry and you are lackadaisical, because Jeffrey Simmons came out and said, we're playing bad football. Simple. I'm tired of hearing the same thing coming into the locker room. I'm tired of saying it. We got to play better. When are we actually going to do the things we're talking about? End quote, Jeffrey Simmons, team leader. So if he's firing guys up and they're actually angry and agitated, and oh, by the way, their head coach is 3-18. Brian Callahan is an NFL head coach. And it can usually go one of two ways. Either the bottom completely falls out and they quit on the coach, or they sober up in a losing locker room and they say, guess what? If the coach changes, this depth chart might change, job security might change. Maybe we should play hard for the guy who's in charge of some of the roster decisions.
A winless team can still be a dangerous team. Cardinals cannot get caught in a mental trap of thinking this might be an easy game because Tennessee hasn't won a game and because they might not be putting up a lot of numbers either offensively or defensively to really seem like they're going to be a formidable threat. Not the case. Everyone makes, right, you're making it to the NFL for a certain reason. Anybody can win on any given Sunday.
I feel like we got off of Paul's ChatGPT thing real quick.
Oh, no, don't worry.
And before we get back on it, that'll do it for this edition of Cardinals Underground, brought to you by Pacific Office Automation.